I'm going to try and make it through this video without crying or getting emotional. And yes, I am driving in the car again. As a lot of you will probably agree, it's a lot easier to drive in the car and speak, especially with what I'm going to be speaking about. I find it a lot easier to be able to speak whilst I'm driving. So you've already guessed by the title of this video, I'll be talking about why I created Overfuelled. If you don't know what Overfuelled is already, it's an automotive clothing brand that I've created in order to raise awareness for mental health. So try and drive that as much as possible. We do obviously the clothing side of it. We've got clothing, we've got like accessories and stuff, the hats, and then car decals, the sun strips, and little like holographic stickers. And we also do cars and coffee mornings as well. So that's the first Sunday of every month that we do that here in Hertfordshire. I'm not being big-headed here as well. They're a really, really good vibe to go to. Like, everyone's so friendly and happy and willing to talk and share their stories. So if you're from Hertfordshire, you're seeing this video, struggling with your mental health, into cars, then have a look on our social media pages and come down if you have a free Sunday. So really the aim of this video is to kind of open up with you guys and speak to you about why I started Overfield. So I want to make this video, obviously, in my mind, mental health awareness is not just a month, it's not just a week or a day or a year, it's all the time. It's something that's so important that should be spoken about more freely than it is, and not in a way where people are judged kind of thing. If I can be brave in sharing my story with you about my struggles with mental health, what I've gone through, then hopefully that can help one of you guys and make you realise that it is okay to speak about how you're feeling, regardless of your gender, your age, your background, where you come from. It is okay. And if by me opening up can help even one person, then I'd be very, very happy with that. So Overfield was actually created, so it was actually like a passing comment that my dad made to me, a passing comment but not passing comment, about me creating, or us creating, a brand to raise awareness for mental health. And that stuck with me. All the experiences that I've had growing up, both personally and through family members, and it's kind of stemmed from there really. Overfield was created some years later, shall we say. For a bit more context, I myself personally have suffered with my mental health, and I've lost family members as well through suicide. When you lose someone to something like that, to suicide, you are left with a lot of questions about what happened, why it happened, could you have done something, could you have stopped it, were there signs? All these questions that you're left with that can't be answered. And it's probably one of the worst things about losing someone to suicide, is that they're gone and they can't answer any of these questions. You're kind of left with this hurt. So because I was a bit younger, I didn't really understand what was kind of going on or what had happened. There were no signs to me that they were struggling. It kind of put into perspective, and you do see it a lot as well. It's always the really like happy, bubbly, like jokey people that are really struggling the most. And they were one of them people. But I think that is what has driven me the most. Obviously, I've had my own experiences, but I don't want anyone to ever be in the situation that that person in my family was in, and then their families go through what my family has gone through. So we've touched upon me saying that I'd struggled with my mental health as well. It was something that I think I've always struggled with, like thinking back now, even from a young age. But because you have no lessons on it, you're not taught anything about it, I just thought I was odd. No one would understand me. I was different to everyone else. I should just keep quiet about how I'm feeling. I isolated myself basically from family and friends in that aspect, and I kept it bottled up and bottled up and bottled up to a point where I had a mental breakdown, and I was very, very close to taking my own life. I was in a really bad place. I wasn't in a healthy relationship. I'd kind of shut myself off from my family at home a little bit because of it, and I felt like I had no one. I was completely, in my mind, isolated from everyone, and it was just building up and building up and building up, and I wasn't happy. And I got to a point where, yeah, it was this tiniest thing that triggered me, and I completely lost it. But because I bottled it up for so long, I think the consequences were a lot worse, if that makes sense. Like I'd got to a point where it was so bad. The thing that stopped me from doing it was actually because of losing a family member so close to me. I know how it feels, and I couldn't put my family through that. So that stopped me and woke me up a little bit, and I was like, right, well, I do need help because something needs to change. I need to sort myself out. So I got a therapist and spoke to her. I spoke to her and got an understanding of myself, and she was like, you've got anxiety. So as soon as she told me that I had anxiety, I was kind of like, right, okay, well, I have a name for it now. I can understand it. I can learn about it. I can see ways to cope with it and to learn and to deal with stuff and not let it control me and bring me to such a point where I get myself in that position again. So if you don't know what anxiety is, it's where a person will continuously overthink everything. So it could be down to a conversation that I've had, or something that's happened, something that hasn't happened as well. You just overthink and overwork yourself. And even in social situations as well, I'll overthink that. So yeah, since I kind of had that experience with going to a therapist and being in such a bad place, I've kind of made it my mission to help as many people as possible, learn as much as I can about mental health, and normalise that it is okay to speak out. Because I'm not going to sit here and say that it's okay to speak out and then I'll not speak out myself. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't struggle, because I did massively. The hardest people to probably speak to, I found, were my parents. Because they're your parents, you think you don't want to kind of burden them with that stress and that upset, so you keep it locked up even more. And I was scared to tell them. I didn't, obviously, because of family members passing away because of that. I then didn't want them to kind of feel like they're going through it all again and with their own child. So I did bottle it up, and I shouldn't have. Speaking to them, they were so supportive. They helped me. They were the ones that kind of put me in touch with a therapist and helped me get the help that I needed. Before I started seeing a therapist, I'd always feel like an outcast. Obviously, I didn't have an understanding of what was going through my mind or what I was feeling. So I didn't think anyone else would have an understanding of what I was feeling. And if you don't understand yourself, it's not very easy to kind of sit there and explain to someone, well, I'm feeling this, this and this is why. You kind of like, you're hitting a brick wall over and over again. I've always felt like I've kind of, been an outcast, but it's me overthinking situations, especially like social situations and stuff as well. So in school, like, I never felt like I fit in, and think that people thought I was weird and stuff. And obviously I did have that aspect of being different to other people because I was a girl and I'm into cars. So a lot of friends, like my friends, were all girls, and they were into like makeup and other stuff that I wasn't that interested in. and they didn't have an understanding of cars, so it was quite difficult. So I think that then made me shut off a little bit more in that respect. Since obviously everything that I've gone through and stuff, it's opened a whole new world to me, wanting to understand more, wanting to help people, wanting to normalise that it is okay to have struggles and to talk about it and to get help, especially in the car scene or industry, whatever you want to say. It is seen as such a negative thing, and there are people in the car scene who have taken their own lives. So in that respect, obviously, like, you need to talk up about stuff. Like, if you're going on a drive with your mates, just a simple how's everything in life could mean the world to someone who is struggling and having a bad day. And you might even get someone to open up to you, and they then can sit there and think, that's a whole weight lifted off of my shoulders. So Overfield is kind of there, especially with the cars and coffee, is there to provide a safe space for people to come and to feel like they can speak up about stuff and speak about their stories with their own mental health and about their cars. But I know that again, going back to the car scene, a lot of people struggling with their mental health use cars as an escape. So they'll then go to car shows and be feeling really, really crap, but they'll use that day as something to kind of forget about everything going on in their mind and going on at home. So the Overfuelled Cars and Coffee was created to eliminate that kind of side of stuff. So you can go to somewhere, it can be a distraction, and it can also be a place where you can kind of accept that I am having a shit day, I am having a shit time, like, I do want to speak to someone. And if that is the case, then absolutely bring it on. More than happy to stand there and have a chat about stuff and speak about life and anything you want to get off your chest. I can't express enough how good it feels to speak to someone about it rather than keeping it bottled up. It is extremely hard, and it does take a lot to kind of get past the block of not being able to speak in it, all being in your mind and all these thought processes going on in your mind, and actually being able to get it out into words and speaking to someone. It is a lot, and it does take a lot of courage to do it. But I promise you, when you do it, you will feel so much better for doing it. I do. I really, really struggle. Like, I get myself in such a way sometimes where I'll be thinking all these things in my head, like I would have worked myself up about something, but I know that I've worked myself up about something that isn't there, and it sounds silly if you say it out loud. You've got to do it, you've got to say it out loud, and it is pushing past that, and it does take a lot to get to that point where you can speak about it, I know. But the more you can do it, and the more you can kind of share how you're feeling with people and whoever, like especially your partner, you need to do it for your sake, for your partner's sake, for your family's sake, for your friend's sake. Speak up about how you're feeling. Obviously, I want to speak about ways that I cope with my anxiety. The ways that I do cope with stuff is, especially with my car, driving is one. If you can't drive and you want to go for a drive, message a friend or family. I like to wash my car quite a lot as well. I know especially with anxiety, a lot of the kind of side of anxiety is you're very much involved in your mind. So your mind kind of takes control. And if you're doing something with your hands, like washing a car, for example, your mind isn't preoccupied with thinking of all these negative thoughts. And that is one of my favourite ways to kind of have some me time and zone out and kind of stop my mind from going into kind of like a tailspin. Anything to do with keeping your hands busy, so washing a car, quite a lot of like colouring as well is a good one, painting, drawing. Another one for me again is listening to music. And I actually said this to my therapist and she said this is very common for people. I don't know whether you would like Friends or not, but that's something that I cannot tell you the amount of times I've watched that over and over and over again on repeat. Anything like your favourite TV programme is basically what I'm trying to say. Favourite TV programme, favourite film, just anything to help you like switch off. Also going for a walk as well. I say going for a walk a lot. Doing exercises or working out for me helped me massively when I felt really, really down. But it's also quite an awkward one for me as well, because I was lucky enough to be able to kind of work out in the comfort of my own home, whereas I know a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that and would struggle with going to the gym. So another form of like working out, such as maybe going for a run, riding a bike, or going for a walk. Obviously these are just ways that help me, and everyone is very different in the way that they cope with stuff. I'm not saying by any means that I'm a professional and that anything that I've said is something what goes. It's only off of my own experience that I can kind of give you tips in a way to help. If you are struggling and you do need help, there are companies out there and charities that you can speak to. So what I'll do is I'll link to the website, so there's loads of numbers and companies on there that you can speak to. So there's 24-hour support numbers on there that you're able to ring. I'll also put the numbers and the links below in the comments as well, so that if you are struggling you can click on them. It's completely up to you whether you use them or not. If you don't feel like you can speak to someone around you, that you don't want to upset them, or you don't feel like you can open up, but you know you need to speak to someone, obviously them contact numbers are there for you to use and speak to people. So I hope me sharing my experience has somewhat helped someone who's watching this video, even in the smallest way. Any help is better than no help at all. Feel free to comment, to like, or to share the video. Subscribe to the channel as well if you want to see some more from us. Also comment as well what else you'd want to see, and maybe something to do with our cars and coffee events, our speaking to people, etc. Let us know. I'll leave it there for you guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, it's really appreciated, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon.